Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Turning Heel podcast, or the first episode, I should say, of our Turning Heels podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always now by my co host, Mike. Mike, how are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Sean, how you doing, bud?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Lots to get into, man. What a week. I'm going to just start us off hot and go right into what I think is the major topic of the week. Cody Rhodes cut himself his hard times promo, in my mind.
He really went after and delivered on this one.
Yeah. I got to tell you, it feels like some of this, like a lot of superstars don't like The Rock being allowed to curse and on his promos. Like I feel like Cody, or I feel like TKO for that matter, took it to heart and said, you know what? Like all this stuff is out there. Let's run with it. Any press is good press. And so let's put them out there and say, hey, cut you a badass promo, curse a couple times, and and let's roll with it.
Right. And I think that's what they're starting to do. I think they know what's in stake this WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think this is their time to really position the next big superstar for them. And I think they have to let him breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you said it perfectly there. Let him breathe. And I think that's what they did. They really put him out there and said, hey, man, look, it kind of felt like, hey, why don't you just say whatever you feel about The Rock?
Right.
And that's what he did.
Yep.
It was fantastic. I was watching it here with my wife. And Jody, who she'll watch from time to time whenever I have it on, and like if she wants to hang out with me, it'll be put wrestling on out in the living room, and I can put it on. And like so, she said to me on Monday, "Hey, put Raw on out here."
Right.
So I did, and when that promo came on, man, she was just like, "Whoa!" Like he really went after The Rock.
Yeah, and I think they need it too.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they really need to portray, because of course they have The Rock go after Cody and Seth and all that.
Sure.
And it's, The Rock show, it's the same thing over and over and over. But this was kind of an eloquent response to what is going on.
Yeah, it really it used a lot of the insider terms.
Mm-hmm.
And man, like he pulled no punches, man. He just went right after The Rock.
He did.
Like this felt personal. This didn't feel like two characters, Cody Rhodes going after The Rock. This felt like Cody Runnels going after Dwayne Johnson.
It did. It did. And I think we need to blend that line a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like when wrestling's at its best, that's what it does. It makes you sit there, and as we're both, smart marks, like, we're into this thing. We've watched it for a little while. We know when something feels scripted and forced, and when something feels authentic and real.
Yeah,
that felt real.
It did.
It felt like there were a couple times there where I was like. They even did that little trying to bleep out when he said asshole.
Right.
It kind of felt like they were trying to bleep that out, but not really.
Yeah.
And
they're just like, yeah, we'll let it slide.
Yeah, I feel like they wanted to at least make it look like, for those who pay attention to that thing, that, hey, we tried to bleep it out. Whoopsie, whoopsie.
Right.
And then, man, when he said the little dick energy.
Right.
Ooh, man, that was look, I feel like in this day and age, questioning someone's manhood in that manner is very passe and lazy.
Right.
But I also feel like it was appropriate considering the way The Rock has questioned the manhood and the sanity of Cody with during his Rock concert, saying he came out weird in the Stardust picture, and it's like, okay,
Right.
like I mean, I get it, I get on attacking that, and
Right. Someone could easily dig up a Rocky Maivia photo from
yeah,
'96 and ask Rock what's going on there too.
right, with his Chia Pet hair and the
Right.
the fanny pack very much on public display. Very
Mhm.
1985 of him in 1996.
Yep.
But man, like, doesn't this feel like the main event's really Cody and The Rock, not Cody and Roman Reigns?
They're making it feel that way. They're really making it feel, and that's what I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do to end night one to go into night two hot. Do they have Cody pin The Rock and then pin Roman in back-to-back nights?
Oh, now that would be a weekend.
Or do they have the Bloodline win and then Cody win? How do they make this? That's my major question.
To me, I think this is a way they want to set up Cody becomes champion, and they want to set up WrestleMania 41 Roman Reigns versus The Rock.
Right.
To me, the easiest way to get there is like it doesn't even have to be like a turn by Seth Rollins on Cody, which I know a lot of people are predicting. Maybe a miscue.
Right.
That, like then say, Cody and whichever side, Cody and Seth, and I'm not even sure who I want necessarily to take the pin, but say Roman and The Rock beat Cody and Seth night one on a miscue by Rollins, whether it be Rollins accidentally, hits Cody with something and then Cody gets pinned, or maybe Rollins is distracted and then he gets pinned off of that. Like, and then we go into night two is all about bloodline rules, and everybody's convinced that The Rock is gonna screw over Cody and make sure he doesn't win. But he doesn't really do anything. And Cody, Cody's trying to get control, and The Rock's like basically, or Roman's calling out to The Rock, like, "Hey, come on and help me." Rock stoic, no sells it, doesn't do anything. Right. And Cody gets the win, and The Rock's just standing there, and Roman, what the hell? And maybe The Rock delivers a rock bottom, shakes Cody's hand, and
yeah, it's a lot to think about because I also thought
I'm just glad I'm going.
How great!
Yeah, that's pretty cool, dude.
How great would it be if they do the bloodline roles and they try to make it where it's almost impossible for Cody?
Yeah.
Why not bring The Rock's main foil back and just have the glass shatter and have Stone Cold come out on an ATV in WrestleMania 40?
Yes.
The link doesn't have a roof on it, so
if there were one, we'd have blown it off if that happened.
I got a good way to calculate this.
Mm-hmm.
Solo, Roman, Rock, and maybe Jimmy's the one that's still in the bloodline.
Right, Jimmy's still in the
They all are attacking Cody, and then Dustin just walks out.
That'd be cool. I don't know if Dustin's is he still with AEW under contract? I wish we could. Man, I wish there was a way to find out his actual contract status.
Right. It would be interesting. But I don't think that's going to be announced anytime soon.
No, I know a number of guys, a number of the originals, their contracts were up at the end of this year.
Right.
And like one of them was MJF. And then one of them obviously would have been Dustin.
Mm-hmm.
The Young Bucks re-upped, obviously.
Obviously.
So did Kenny Omega.
Right.
So I don't know that, like, I've not heard anything as far as Dustin goes. It'd be cool. Like, I mean, I would have liked it had they just inducted Goldust into the Hall of Fame,
Right.
and then you could have had Goldust come out as Goldust, to help his brother.
Right. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. I mean, the Hall of Fame class is shaping up to be an interesting one.
Dustin stupid.
Yeah, so Dustin apparently, I know he released a Twitter post or X post, whatever they call it, where it was basically just, bleep you rock.
Right. And then he announced his nephews are wrestling.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
I forget Wyatt and I forget the other one.
Yeah, I don't recall their names. He said stay tuned. Okay, yeah. Okay. Thanks, David. Appreciate the little bit of information there. Look, I definitely think there's a lot of possibility, and that's the kind of the cool thing about this, right? That there's so many different ways they can do this.
Right.
But to me, like, they've taken something that the ending I feel like is very obvious, and I, again, as that, that fan, I've been such a big Cody fan, and I feel like I've been on this pulpit for about 2 years where I've said I need that moment. And I believe, I believe David's hinting at the same thing that I'm saying. Like, I basically drew out how I would turn the Rock babyface at the end of WrestleMania after Roman and the Rock get the win night 1 over Cody and Seth. I think it's a miscue. I don't really know that I want the Seth to turn on Cody, because to me that just, like, what's the point of that?
Right, because you need Seth to be a babyface on Raw.
Right.
And especially Seth against Drew night 2.
Right. Like, who are they cheering for night 2 if Cody turns? Like,
right.
I mean, if Seth turns. Yeah.
Right. And then I have a hunch we might get Damian Priest to cash in on night 2. I'm not sure.
That's what I think too.
I'm thinking he's gonna cash it on WrestleMania. I've been thinking it for maybe a month or a couple weeks. The question is, what match and will he win?
I think he will win, and I think it'll be the world title match night 2. Right. What I really think is that Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre hits the Claymore on Seth Rollins during their match, and as soon as he hits it, you hear the Judgment Day music, and you see Priest come out to cash in, and Drew, like, goes right after him. Maybe they even have them, like, get the match thrown out, like, so between Seth and Drew, with, say, JD, Finn, and and everybody else attacking McIntyre.
They can make it a triple threat, and there's no DQ.
Sure. But I'm saying, like, when he comes out, like, because Drew's going to, like, if my scenario were to happen where Drew hits the Claymore and it's looking like he's about to go in for the pin, and then the music hits, like, Drew would lose it. Like, he would go after them.
Right.
I don't think Seth is going to turn, but maybe one of the Judgment Day is going to turn. Maybe Priest or Finn.
I agree with this one. Seth won't turn. Priest night. I agree. Damian Priest cashes in night 2. Right. Can Priest draw a crowd like Seth? Right now, no.
No.
In his current character construction, no, he can't. Do I think he could if given the right direction? Yes, I do. Yeah, it would take a lot, though, like, for that to happen. I think I do like the idea of the cash in to make a triple threat. And the way I guess you could do that is You have the. I'm sorry, I'm getting. I appreciate you, David. I appreciate the comments. But yeah, you have maybe Priest come in like from behind and like maybe don't have the music play. He just comes in, and then like as soon as that Claymore's hit, he puts that briefcase in the referee's hands. Referee calls for the bell, making it a triple threat. Drew's having a little meltdown, gets up to try to deliver a Claymore on Priest. Priest moves, hits it like, and then Priest. Long story short, Priest gets the win, and Priest becomes world champion.
Yeah. Or they might do it the Raw after WrestleMania. I could see that.
They could do that too, yeah. Especially if you have Rollins win at Mania. Because I don't like the idea of a champion having such a short title reign. So I don't like the idea of Drew winning and then Priest cashing in the next night.
Right.
And I certainly would not be a fan of going from, 1,007 million days of Roman Reigns as champion to Cody gets 1 day as champion.
Right.
That really wouldn't be fair. But
no, and I think it will be on the World Heavyweight title.
I do too.
I think they really need to do that if they're going to cash it in.
What do you think about the plot twist of Rey Mysterio breaks up the Priest pin? Could it happen? But to me, I feel like Rey's already in his feud with Santos Escobar.
Right.
And that's where his focus is.
Wrestles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just came back from his injury, so.
Right. So what do you think about on SmackDown, we're going to have Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar, not WrestleMania?
I feel like this WrestleMania is very Raw heavy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they really, even with the tag team qualifying, there was 3 matches on Raw, but SmackDown's having a tournament for one team to make it. Doesn't make sense.
I agree with you, David. I think the Awesome Truth might take the titles.
And I'm thinking it's gonna. They've got to have something else from SmackDown because really, what it is the triple threat and LA Knight and AJ and the women's title.
Yeah,
I think they need something else,
and we might get more answers to that this Friday.
Right.
Jimmy and Jay is co-branded, but
right, and really the Cody and Roman matches are co-branded when you think about it, because Cody's a Raw guy, but he's doing double duty. So, yeah, I feel like they need to add some more zest to SmackDown because I think they're relying too heavily on the bloodline right now. And
they relied too heavily on the bloodline for about 2 years on SmackDown. Yeah.
Right, son might come to WrestleMania.
He might.
Yeah.
And then I'm just wondering what they're going to do when it comes time, how they're going to break up the nights.
Yeah, I was curious your thoughts on how you stagger the matches. Like, are there any right now that you would say definite night 1 matches and then definite night 2 matches? I mean, aside from the main events, because those are already
right. Derek is set.
I have a definite Jay and Jimmy night 1.
All right, you're calling Jay and Jimmy night 1,
right?
Okay.
I'm thinking because both major men's titles are on Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Saturday might be both women's title matches.
That would make sense.
To split up the big 4 titles.
Yeah. Because I thought, okay, how do you do this? Because their big thing has been wanting to put the women on in a main event spot, whether it be night 1 or usually it's been night 1.
Right.
A good way to do that would be, because apparently now opening a match is just as big as closing.
Right.
And that's been that way for about 4 or 5 years. That really, it's like if you open WrestleMania, that's that's a main event spot. And so I think you could certainly open with either women's title match night one. And, you could put if you wanted to put both of them night one, you could easily do then middle of the card, the other women's title match. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go right and then main event with the tag match.
Right. And then I'm thinking the 6-way ladder match.
Wait, what's 6-way?
Might be on Sunday.
The tag 6-way. Yeah,
right.
for the tag titles. Yeah. I think that's got to be night one.
Oh, you're thinking night one?
Yeah, and my reasoning being I want the thought of Priest being fresh during the Drew Seth match. Right. I want that to be his first time out that night.
I was kind of thinking that it would be night one opening the show. Mm-hmm. They lose the titles and they cut to the back scene. They're all down and Rhea talks to Damian you've got this. You have this in your hand. We can make the Judgment Day rule again and then kind of go from there. But you can even split it up on nights too.
Oh, yeah. And look, they could open night two. Mm-hmm. And because, as long as there's a little bit of a break, not everybody's me and such a stickler for, so he recovered from that brutal ladder match in 25 minutes and now is cashing in. Not everybody else is going to see it that way. I think it's easy to say, okay, he cashed in while he was fresh, even though he had already had a grueling match that night. Mm-hmm. Which is why I liked the idea of him having the grueling match night one.
Right.
And then, you could even have that as an opening segment on night two. Everybody's down and dejected. And, especially, if Rhea Ripley were to lose the women's title to Becky.
Right.
And it's so they're all dejected. Nobody's got gold anymore. And, you could have that pep talk where Rhea looks at him and at Priest and goes, look, you've got that. We're still relevant. Let's make sure to make this. But somehow we've got to make this a Judgment Day night.
You're right.
Priest also could cash in Gunther versus Sammy. It depends if Sammy's going to take the title. I think it's going to be night two. But if Sammy doesn't, it's going to be night one. And I don't think Sammy's going to get the title yet. So I think it's going to be night one, Sammy versus Gunther. Even if Sammy wins, I think it's still going to be night one, though.
Okay, so you think Sammy and Gunther night one. I think what you at the minimum have to do is split up the Intercontinental title and U.S. title.
Right.
Have one of them night one and one of them night two. Which we could go the triple threat, Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton night two.
Night two, yeah.
Yeah.
I would think that one would probably be a night one, though.
And that one, Logan Paul kind of said, I read somewhere, I forget, that he kind of alluded that he's wrestling Sunday.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Well, then that would make sense. You could have the triple threat for the U.S. title night two and the Intercontinental title match night one. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think Kevin might win the title.
I think so, too. It would make sense. Although, look, when you set up the triple threat rules, it's real easy to have that swerve put in there.
Yeah.
Remember WrestleMania 24, Randy Orton versus Triple H versus John Cena. Everybody was predicting John Cena was going to win. They even did that voting poll. John Cena was 50-something%, 54, 57%. Randy Orton was 5%, in the voting.
Right.
And Randy ends up walking out the winner. So I wouldn't be surprised if, either Kevin hits a stunner on Orton or Orton hits an RKO on Kevin and Logan Paul gets a cheap shot in and gets that cover.
It wouldn't stun me.
Right.
I think Sammy's going to knock at the title because he just came back. Same with Vandy. And Logan's had it for a while. He isn't on. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think Kevin.
Yeah, well,
it makes sense. I agree with you. In fact, I thought if it was going to be Kevin and Logan Paul one-on-one at WrestleMania in the Royal Rumble rematch, I thought Kevin Owens would win the title.
Right.
And they might still say, okay, well, you know what's next month? They're going to France for Backlash. Logan Paul's he's an international star. Like, you could put him on that match, and he could lose the U.S. title in France. Maybe Kevin Owens somehow earns a last chance opportunity.
All right, we got a lot to unpack and twist and turn the roads through.
Yes, we certainly do. I'll tell you what, I am ecstatic about this card. Super jealous of you guys getting to go. Mike, you getting to go to both nights. Sean, you getting to go tonight too. My plan is, I've already told my wife, like, look, I'm not going, so understand I am useless in this house after about 11 a.m. Saturday morning, which not a whole lot happens for me before 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. So basically, I'm useless all weekend.
Pretty much.
And I have this big glass. It's a huge, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a big glass that I got from a bar, World of Beer.
Okay.
And Jody doesn't like it when I drink my rum and cokes from that glass because she says in her words, I suck them down like they're candy.
Okay.
And I told her, I'm like, look, I don't break it out often. WrestleMania, I'm breaking out the World Beer Cup.
There you go.
I'm just like, I'm not going to WrestleMania, not going to either night. You can't stop me. This is happening.
Sucking down the rum and cokes.
Yep. And she acquiesced.
There you go.
She told me she understands. She said, you know what? Everything, because she knows, like, look, I put on a brave front and I keep saying, like, it would have been a bigger tragedy had I never been to a WrestleMania that I'm not going this year.
Right.
But man, it still eats me up that I'm not going.
Yeah. No, it's tough. I mean,
finances are what they are. Like, I've got Eagles season tickets to pay for, and for me, they take precedence. Like, nothing comes before that. Right. I mean, okay, nothing as far as like obviously any family emergencies or anything like that's different. But as far as any of my luxury spending, I will give up everything to make sure that I get to go to Eagles games.
Right.
And that includes going to WrestleMania this year.
Yes.
Yeah. Still my goal, though, to one day go to one of every Big Four. I want to attend all the Big Four. I've been to a WrestleMania. I haven't been to any of the others.
Right.
So at some point, I'm gonna get my butt to a Royal Rumble, a SummerSlam, and a Survivor Series. Probably not all the same year.
No, I'll probably have to space them out.
Yeah.
Because I've been to Rumbles.
Yeah, you've been to 2 Rumbles, right? 2 or 3? Were you at both of the ones in Philly in the 10s?
No. I was at the Rumble that we can't talk about.
Right. Yeah, I know you were at 4.
I was at
2004. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 and 15.
Okay. The one Roman one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, the one.
Yeah, where we booed him out of the building, including booing The Rock out of the building.
We don't name?
Yeah, Chris Benoit. When he won the Rumble, I was there.
Why don't we mention that?
He did real bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a nice guy.
No.
Well, I don't know. He was a nice guy up until things.
Yeah.
If you discount the little double murder thing,
Yeah.
Everybody can have a bad night. I mean,
right. And I don't know if you saw a picture on Facebook. One of the wrestling groups had a picture of Cena, Lesnar, and Benoit in the ring. And they said, why did WWE waste the film on a blank picture?
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because you can't see Cena,
You can't see Cena, and the other
and
two,
the other two are erased from history.
right? Mm-hmm.
Though I heard a rumor that, like, basically they're trying to come up with a way to straighten everything out with Brock Lesnar and maybe get him back. I don't think so. I don't think it's happening. Not without a complete, like basically the judicial system would have to come out and say, yeah, we were completely wrong in any investigation, including Brock Lesnar.
Right, and that ain't gonna
Like,
happen.
they would have to do like a big press conference at the in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania for them to ever be like, oh, okay, then let's bring Brock Lesnar back.
Yeah, that ain't gonna
Brock
happen.
Lesnar's not in?
Yeah.
No, Brock Lesnar's not a part of the company right now.
Right.
Why?
Things.
For what we just things.
Yeah. So
we'll explain when you're older.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess it's an episode, so we should bring up AEW. Well, you know what? No, I want to bring up Sting's last match, and Revolution. So this will be a fun thing to talk about. Obviously, you had your night. You did well with our standings.
Right.
So it's starting to become, man, like I'm kind of taking a whooping here in these picks.
Yeah, well, you know what?
We're tied. Well, you're one ahead of me.
Yeah, the Revolution, the Revolution pay-per-view was a bit too long.
Yeah.
It took us 2 days to finish it. 3 days?
We haven't finished it yet. We never saw Sting's last match.
I did.
Okay, so Sean hasn't seen Sting's last match yet. Me either, buddy.
Aren't we?
Well, plan a time. I can come over and we'll watch the whole show. So, like, I'll just pick like a long weekend. I'll just camp out there and
right there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sting's last match. I've heard both sides of people saying it was a great last match.
Yeah.
People on the other side of it was horrible. To me, it didn't do much.
Don't do anything to me.
That's a shame.
Because like I was really anticipating the whole thing, but the Darby Allin stunt just kind of, to me, that just flattened the whole match. At that
point. Like all this flying through glass. Like, when are we gonna have is it gonna take another Owen Hart moment for them to realize that they're just being stupid with that stuff?
I'm beginning to wonder. I'm really beginning to wonder when at an AEW pay-per-view a talent is going to die from something. Yeah. They're pushing the envelope a little too much. Like that was completely unnecessary.
And who do you think it is? And tell me why it'll be Darby Allin.
Darby he's taken way too many risks. He doesn't need to at this point.
And look, I love Darby Allin. I love his story. I love, living in his car, whatever. Yeah, hey, I think it's a great rags to riches story. But he's got this great gig. Why does he seem so hell-bent to blow it?
I don't know. I mean, they've thrown him down steel concrete steps. He did that stunt in Sting's last match on top of the ladder. It's like,
right.
Something's got to give. And
between him, Sammy Guevara, and who's the other guy I was just thinking of? I mean, like Orange Cassidy won't do anything that stupid. He's done some dumb stuff too, but like
nothing
extreme.
right, nothing like Darby Allin.
right. Or like Jungle Boy doing the like wanting to do real glass for a friggin' pre-show match.
Right.
Which, I mean, say what you want about CM Punk, and believe me, I will. But he was right. Like, that was stupid. That wasn't helping anybody.
No, it wasn't going to help anybody. It was the FTW pre-show match. Like,
settle down. Stand down, clown.
Right.
Come on.
Right. Like Jack, you're just a mid-card guy. Let's face facts at this point.
Yeah. Let's save that for when you look. I get it. Like you're trying to become a main eventer. Can you get on the actual card first before you start using real glass?
Right. Like to me, they had him in that 4 Pillars match for the title, and the main event of Double or Nothing. But
and that was cute.
That was cute. But we all knew MJF was going to come out the victor.
Right, and that was set up to where he could get a win, make himself look strong, and nobody really looks weak in that spot.
Exactly.
Because it's a 4-way, and and it, like wild stuff. Anybody, you get all those kinds of shenanigans in the 4 ways.
Right. But yeah, it was a long ordeal. Trying to think here, because we had Sting's last match, and it was nice that his sons came out in his different outfits. They
agreed. Yeah,
they paid homage. They did all that, but to me, it's kind of like they didn't need to do the. They would have been better just having a straight up match, not a Texas tornado match where anything goes. And
yeah. I agree with you there. They should have just let the 2 tag teams have a traditional tag team match.
Right.
I mean, at the heart of this, Sting was an NWA Crockett Promotions guy.
Right.
Like that's at his heart what Sting is, and that is all about classic wrestling.
Correct.
Including classic tag team. If you wanted to make it a gimmick, well, the gimmick they should have done for it was 2 out of 3 falls.
Right.
Like I would have been on board with, Sting and Darby defending the tag titles in a 2 out of 3 falls match against the Young Bucks.
Right. But then again, things have changed so much.
And who knows if Sting really could have done it. Like you kind of used his sons because you wonder could his body hold up and do all this. You have Darby take the car wreck spot because that's what Darby does. You sure as hell weren't going to have Sting at 60 years old jump through there. He'd have broken his hip.
Right, exactly.
Which, I mean, you could have said, well, you've got a lifetime to recover, but who the hell knows how long that would be if, Sting really busted his hip.
Exactly. So, yeah. I mean, it was Takeshita Ospreay didn't disappoint. There was a lot of good to the Revolution card, but then you get kind of like that disappointment almost. Like I would have much rather seen just a pure tag team match, and they could have done that easily. I think with the 4 guys in the ring.
I would like a tornado, not a Texas tornado.
Well, it's the same.
It's the same concept. It's Texas tornado. It's basically just.
It's all 4
It's
guys.
like a whirlwind. Like that's why they call it the Texas tornado. Because have you ever seen like the Tasmanian devil and like the twisting around and stuff? It's like a twister. It's like just pure chaos. And that's what they wanted them. That's why they named it the Texas tornado match, because it's just all about like havoc and craziness.
Right.
Which I don't know if you got a chance to watch. I know it just came out last night, but the Dark Side of the Ring about Terry Gordy.
I have not seen any of this season yet.
Okay.
I don't have Vice. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I will. Season 4, I bought on iTunes to watch it. But this year it was Who's it been? John Tenta?
Yeah, they
Buffbag,
did.
Terry Gordy?
They did Gordy. They did Tenta. Yeah, those were the two that they've done so far.
Right.
Oh, I feel like there was somebody else that I'm forgetting about.
Buff Bagwell, I thought.
Yeah, Buff last week. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've watched all three so far. I mean, it's been a good season.
okay.
You can definitely feel, though, that they're starting to reach a little.
Yeah.
You know, like, because it's like they want to tell these crazy dark side of the ring stories, but they also don't want to invade too many people's privacy. Like, there's a lot of different stuff that, like, I feel like they haven't gotten into and they don't want to get into. But it's like, if you're really going to be about the dark side of the ring, you got to tell those stories.
Well, what do you think?
About what?
Stuff that they haven't gotten into yet that you want to see them get into.
I'd like to see an episode where they really delve into what happened at the end of ECW.
Okay.
As you know, I'm like I said, I've been listening to the Bruce Pritchard show, and he talks about how basically Paul Heyman started in January of 2001 with WWE, as just working with creative.
Right.
But he was still head of ECW, and he was the owner, and he hadn't filed for bankruptcy yet. And so it's okay, what are you doing? To me, I would love to hear a real story of, okay, who approached who. I'm assuming and apparently Paul was only claiming that he was getting I think it was $4,000 a month or $4,000 a week for doing this creative with WWE, and supposedly that was also injunction of basically part of his salary was to go towards the debt that he as owner of ECW owed Vince McMahon and WWE, the quarter or $500,000 or whatever that he owed WWE.
Right.
And so a portion of his salary was going towards that. I just want to hear that story. And there's a couple others that, man, I'd love to hear more about. Dude, in just this episode, and I don't want to spoil anything about the Buff Bagwell episode, but Scotty Riggs was living in his car.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he was saying, he said basically Buff reached out to him to say, hey, they're going to do this episode on Dark Side of the Ring, and you're one of the guys they want to talk to. And he's like, dude, I'm living in my car. He was contemplating offing himself.
Right.
And it's okay, there's another Dark Side of the Ring story.
Right. They're
Or the real closing of WCW, the final days. What led into it? Why did Eric Bischoff get fired as the head of WCW, as the president, just to get rehired 6 months later?
Because they didn't know what they were doing at that point.
The Vince Russo story. I want to hear more. There's just, I don't know that there's necessarily an episode that they haven't done that I just want more talked about. What happened with Russo and Vince McMahon? Where they couldn't, all of a sudden Russo was gone.
Right.
It just seemed out of nowhere. Russo negotiated a deal with WCW and he was out.
Right. Well, Russo kind of said why on the Bash at the Beach episode.
Well, yeah.
Right. Vince said get a nanny, and Russo didn't appreciate that. And said, bro, I was gone.
Yeah. And to me, some of that stuff is just what did you really expect Vince McMahon to do?
Right.
Was Vince McMahon supposed to say, oh, okay, well, we're in the middle of this Monday Night War where this other company's trying to put us out of business, and finally we're turning the tide on them, and one of the guys who's a big part of why we're turning the tide is basically bitching and moaning that he's working too much. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're getting compensated for your time.
Right.
If you don't want the job, then quit. Like,
Exactly.
Like, I don't know what he wanted Vince McMahon to do. Like, you're either going in there to say, hey, can we hire a couple other people? Like, bring some solutions is what I'm saying, instead of just bitching about it. Like, come in there with the idea of, hey, can we start using Bruce Pritchard again? Can I maybe act like a grown-up around Jim Cornette?
Right.
And work with him some. And maybe together we can all write Raw. And maybe it only takes us 6 hours instead of 14 hours a day to write Monday Night Raw. I don't know. Like some of the stuff, it just, like, it's not that I don't think they're doing enough, or not that I don't think they're doing the right episodes. I don't think they're bringing enough to the table. And I realize they've only got an hour to get it all in.
Right.
But that, and I'm always fascinated by the Chris Benoit story. I wish they would have talked a little bit about some of the conspiracy theories.
There's a lot.
And dude, you're ever bored one day, type into your Google machine, Chris Benoit conspiracy theories, and watch it just, woohoo.
Oh, yeah.
Although, to me, what really damns the conspiracy theory idea is when they looked at Chris Benoit's search history for that weekend.
Right.
It's kind of incriminating.
Just a little bit.
Kind of makes it seems like there was no, third man in the grassy knoll.
No, not at all.
Or second shooter on the grassy knoll.
Exactly.
For those 1960 conspiracy theory fans.
Yes.
Which is another fun one. If we ever just did like a sidebarred the wrestling talk and just did a conspiracy theory podcast, we could have us a good time.
We could.
Because I've got some great conspiracy theories, and even some that like I know a ton about that I don't even agree with, but I would just enjoy taking that side just to see everybody else, see if their heads will really explode.
And people's heads might explode.
They might. My poor aunt, I've tortured her for years because she's such a staunch, I don't want to get into her politics, but she is very hardcore on her way. Mm-hmm. And I like to take the other way just to be that antagonist.
Oh, very nice.
And she knows it's coming and still can't resist.
Right.
It's so funny. God bless her. I love you, Aunt Paula. God bless you. You're wonderful and such a good sport about it. Okay, we got kind of sidetracked there.
Okay, it happens.
It happens. Anybody, if you watched our old show, the TLC podcast, you'll know that's what we do here on Turning Heel. We get sidetracked. We go down rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm.
But we only got a couple minutes left before I know, my wife's already calling me, and she'll be wondering if dinner's on because, again, I'm sure she forgot that I'm doing this podcast today.
Of course.
For those of you who maybe just tuning in, I was explaining to Mike on the pre-show, so I guess no matter when you tuned in, you wouldn't have heard this, but my wife asked me to cook dinner tonight, and so she's just like, hey, throw this on around this time. I'm like, well, that's right around when my podcast starts. So I'm like, okay, I'll throw it on there. It takes about 55 minutes to cook. That's how long our show can be.
There you go. And we are at 52 right now.
Yeah, we're at 52 minutes, so that buzzer is going to be going any second.
There you go.
And maybe I'll just preemptively turn us off here.
Good.
Anything you're looking forward to with this face-to-face? They've really made a big deal pushing that it's only going to be Cody and Roman on SmackDown.
You know the bloodline's going to be involved.
The fact that they've emphasized it so much
makes
me believe it's got to be something's happening. Something's cooking on Friday night.
Something's
Maybe Dustin
cooking.
could come back there.
We'll have to wait.
I suppose he could. Lots to tune into. Hey, tonight I'm sure they've got a big episode of Dynamite. Man, we could spend another hour talking about, and there's my buzzer. We could spend another hour talking about the hosh posh that is AEW. But yeah, I think instead we're gonna get on out of here. Mike, anything to add before we do?
I think we're good.
All right, everybody, have a great night. I will enjoy my Salisbury steaks that I've been cooking for the last hour. Have a great night, everybody.
Salisbury Steak Day, children.
That's right.